Hey folks, and welcome to yet another LJ book review. Today we're going to be discussing a 1959 novel, A Separate Piece, by John Knowles. Now this book is actually John Knowles' first published novel, and it's arguably his most well-known work. And you see, this story revolves mainly around two characters, Gene and Phineas. Now Finney is the daredevil type, the very athletic type. He can sort of get his way with anyone, and he's just a very laid-back individual. And Phineas, or Finney as he's called in the novel, he basically molds everything around him to fit his desires. He molds everyone. And then you have Gene, who is an academic. The whole story is actually from Gene's point of view, and Gene is very envious of Finney's athletic prowess. The envy definitely gets more and more possessive until it really releases itself in a fearful way. I'm not going to spoil as to what that is, but I will tell you it is very surprising. And so the book starts off with Gene returning to what used to be his high school in New Hampshire. The high school is actually called Devon as well. And he goes to the school looking for something. And the first thing he focuses his sights on is a flight of marble stairs. You aren't sure as to why. And then he goes and commences walking until he finally finds this very tall tree. And from that moment on, the whole story basically is told in the form of a flashback. And I think the marble stairs and the tree are supposed to represent fearful sights, areas that, for Gene anyway, held strong emotional ties. Some fearful moments happened at those sites. You find out what those moments were later on. I'm not going to spoil it. But it speaks of Gene and Phineas. Gene is in a very intense friendship with Finney. They aren't seen without each other anywhere they go. They both go to Devon, and the great tree I was telling you about, they basically develop this organization called, I think it's called like the Super Suicide Session of the Summer, something like that, with a lot of S's, that's all I know. And it's basically just this organization / meeting. They meet once a night and discuss various matters. They go to this tree and they decide the initiation process into this organization, the Super Suicide Summer, whatever. The initiation process is to jump out of the tree and into the river, because Finney and Gene are basically the younger kids at the school they go to. The older kids, like the seniors at Devon, they're actually preparing to go into the military, because I didn't mention this, but Devon is a school in New Hampshire, New England, and this is taking place during the early stages of World War II. Gene and Finney aren't really worrying about the war at all, but, they're curious to see what's it like to jump out of this tree, and then they decide, it's the initiation process. Who knew? And gradually more and more people will join this group. Finney invents this one crazy game called Blitzball. It's basically just a game where he makes up rules along the way, and he excels at that sport. And then it goes, further showing his athletic abilities. Finney actually breaks a school record in a pool race, but he tells Gene to never tell anybody. And then there's more or less sort of a one-sided rivalry going on between Gene and Finney. Gene is pushing himself academically to the limits. He's studying really hard every night because he believes Finney is actually trying to outdo him. Turns out Finney just doesn't really care, and he realizes academics aren't completely for him. So then everything's just sort of normal again. It can at times be so humorous, but at other times be so tear-jerking. I just think John Knowles does a great job with taking you into the minds of these characters and showing them, these characters, the mentality, the characterization is incredible in this book. John Knowles definitely does a great job taking you into the minds of two young boys who are great friends, and he does a great job of showing the emotions that come with that, the envy, the natural jealousy, the competition, the loving. It's poetic, is what it is. John Knowles has a great poetic writing style about him. Hey, great story of adolescence here. I would have to say, and I haven't even read these books, but I'm just going to say I assume this is possibly somewhat like Boy's Life. Just that sort of showing the growing up phase. You see the bonding between Jean and Finney. It sort of reminded me of something out of Stand By Me by Stephen King. It just is. John Knowles. I cannot praise this book enough. You, viewer, you have to go out and do a favor. Read this book for me. Yes, it may not be number one on your to-read list, but let me tell you, when you read it, you realize that this is a masterpiece. Now, normally, the books for school, I'm none too keen about reading them. I mean, I have The Help by Catherine Stockett I still have to read. Doesn't seem any interesting. Then I have To Kill a Mockingbird, which I know that's classic and all, but that has never interested me either. This is a rare surprise. I mean, just at first glance, even when I read the back summary, it didn't interest me at all. But I'm not kidding. By the time you're about 10 pages in, you become very interested in the characters, and you really want to know what's going to happen next. Plus, at 204 pages, this is not a lengthy read whatsoever. I read this in about 1 week, and also, I hope you can see this, but the font is pretty big. So that's that. I'd have to give A Separate Piece by John Knowles a 5 out of 5. Not quite a 6 out of 5, which is definitely the highest limits of my rating scale, but this is a great book. I suggest to anybody, please check this book out. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, reading the back summary, there's one line in the summary that actually kind of reminds me of It by Stephen King. It says, "What happens between the two friends one summer, like the war itself, banishes the innocence of these boys in their world." Banishes the innocence of these boys in their world. I don't know, that just really reminded me of something out of It. But that made me want to read it even more. And this does, I cannot say this enough, the relationship between the two boys, Jean and Finney, really shows just strong talent from John Knowles. It's hard to describe. I mean, John Knowles perfectly takes you into two young kids' minds and portrays it in such a way, you know, like Stephen King in It, or Stephen King in Stand By Me, or possibly Robert R. McCammon in Boy's Life. That is high praise. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you think about this background. Just decided to film here today with my camcorder on a tripod. Tell me what you prefer, down in the office or here. Because if you like, I can always find book reviews here from now on. Tell me in the comments below. LJZ out. See ya.